Welcome to Story Punk. I am Scott.
And I'm Drew.
And today we are here to talk about the movie They Will Kill You. This is, I saw somebody describe this as Ready or Not, except the main character was ready.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, this is I have a movie that was, I kind of felt like a little bit of a mashup. I don't know if you felt that.
That's my first note, actually.
I said,
what did you think it was a mashup?
I thought it was a mashup. We definitely had a Kill Bill flavor in there.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, Ready or Not, John Wick and a dash of Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, I had Rosemary's Baby meets Kill Bill meets Evil Dead 2 meets Death Becomes Her meets Hardcore Henry.
Death Becomes Her. Yes, that's a go. I was trying to think of something that was like supernatural, like where people come back to life, and then I was like, oh, I'm not gonna. I found myself spending a little too much time thinking about it. I was like, I'm not gonna. I could have just looked it up.
What's funny is I remembered Death Becomes Her has that element. I don't remember anything else about that movie other than I think I'm picturing somebody's head getting pulled off.
I
or
remember,
whatever.
wasn't
That's
it? It was Goldie. Does Goldie Hawn get shot like right through her torso? And
something
you can see
like that.
Through, I think there's something like that.
And
yeah,
Meryl Streep's neck gets twisted, or I don't remember.
Yeah. So I have a non-spoiler version of the summary of the movie.
Okay. It is hard not to. If you're interested in the movie, you should watch it now because the movie has a certain feel for literally a few minutes, and then you realize that's not what kind of movie it is in a good way, and also I don't know exactly what it's going to do, but that's very soon. Yeah. Like I honestly was a little surprised it wasn't 20 minutes later in the movie or something. I don't mind because once the movie gets moving, it gets really moving. Yeah. But it's hard to talk about it for more than a minute without spoiling.
I mean,
it.
we'll definitely get into spoilers.
Oh yeah. No, I'm saying go for it. Go for it right now.
They Will Kill You. It's about this woman who takes a housekeeping job in a mysterious New York high-rise, only to discover it's controlled by a demonic cult.
It's really not that mysterious. It clearly is Rosemary's Baby's apartment building. I mean, it's not.
Well, it definitely was inspiration.
Or Ghostbusters.
And then she's trapped inside, and she must survive the night and fight her way out before she becomes their next sacrifice. And
which makes it sound more like Ready or Not than it is, except I like your Ready or Not, but she's ready because that's the twist.
Yeah.
That's good.
So this is directed by, what do we say? How do we say it?
I believe his name is Kirill Sokolov. He's Russian.
Yes. And
Russian directors are action directors are quite distinct. I feel like a lot of this movie it's been very overtly directed and kind of like that's not even a criticism so much as it does feel like Hardcore Henry or Night Watch or one of those movies that's either a Russian movie or a Russian director that's come to Hollywood, and it's very extreme overwrought. That gives it the Kill Bill vibe, I guess.
The Zazie Beetz is our main character. Asia Reeves, which I think is like a great action movie name. I love it. Patricia Arquette is Lily Woodhouse. She's like the owner manager of the Virgil, which is the name of the mysterious hotel, or maybe not so mysterious hotel. And I kept thinking, with the extreme violence in this movie, I just kept thinking of Patricia Arquette. It's kind of funny that when you see her as this character, and then I think about her in True Romance, and it's hard to believe that's the same actress. Like, I think about the whole scene with her in the hotel room, especially if you see the unrated version, which was a lot more violent, with her and James Gandolfini. That whole scene. I think they just show more blood, but it's a very rough scene.
I tend to think of her in Lost Highway.
No, that too.
That's more skin. Yeah. But also, I mean, she's basically like one version of her in the movie. Spoilers is like Marilyn Manson's toy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It's really different. But she's in this movie. She's a strict boss and maternal, and also you're not surprised at who she really turns out to be.
Yeah.
So I like her.
We have Heather Graham. Mm-hmm. We have,
which I did not know she was in it. That was kind of a nice surprise, even though.
Oh, you didn't know she was in? I didn't know.
I didn't know she was in it, and I didn't know about what happened to her head.
Oh,
and I didn't. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I recognize Tom Felton is in obviously the Harry Potter movies. He's also in one of my favorite movies of all time, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and he's in the movie, and then he's not in the movie very long. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then he's still in the movie.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I thought too. Because I was like, damn. I was like, I know he like because I know he was on the like one season of the CW Flash show. My son was like huge into that, and I was to that show, and I always thought it was weird. I was like, did they not?
Well, you know what it was? I thought it was it like Ron Weasley's in what is it, the M. Night Shyamalan Cabin movie?
Oh yeah, okay.
Because Ron Weasley's one of the guys that shows up at the door.
Cabin at the end of
the knock at the door, or knock at the cabin door.
I'm thinking that's a book I'm thinking of. Okay, yeah.
So, well, it was a book that Shyamalan then adapted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but I think I might be thinking of a different book.
But it's Dave Bautista and Ron Weasley and some other people show up, and Ron Weasley is gone first. And I was like. I mean, like I'm sure he doesn't have to work as long as he had his money managed. That's a huge franchise, but I don't know. Like they could have done more with him. He's not a bad actor or anything.
And then I was surprised to see this because I had no clue about this. The pighead voice is James Remar, who most people probably know as Dexter Morgan's dad, and he played 2 roles in Django Unchained, and he's also apparently he was like I think he was some like colonel or general in like the Welcome to Derry.
Was he?
Series. Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that's been like a lot of movies. If you see him, you're like, oh yeah, I know who that guy is. Like going all the way back to like to 48 Hours.
I was gonna say 48 Hours is the thing that I always connect him with.
I mean, that was he was even in the video game Destiny. He had a very small part. There's like these. I'm not going to geek out and go into all that. But anyway, when we start out, to kind of like set up the theme of this, I mean, right off the bat, we're talking about that there's this, and I think this is how you pronounce the name. It's Benvenuto Cellini, I guess. Anyway, the quote is, "When the poor give to the rich, the devil laughs." Which really kind of hits kind of hard in today's environment.
Well, do you think that has some relevance to
I think so.
Our current predicament? Maybe. I mean, world?
Yeah. And the so I definitely think that is I think it was almost a little too on the nose.
Well, none of the movies that we've discussed in this series so far are subtle. And they're all not subtle about the same thing.
Yeah. So this the Virgil is the name of this thing, which is for those that are wondering, the Virgil is named after it was Dante's guide in the Inferno, and that's who guided him through. It was like sort of like I guess it was like his like I don't know, mentor, tutor, whatever you want to call him, who guided him through the rings of hell.
Yes.
That was that's sort of so the once again not extremely subtle.
Nope.
And this is basically this is sort of a I don't know if you want to call it a monument or what's I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but maybe it is like a monument to these wealthy people, these immortal wealthy people. And they are, it's a sort of a metaphor to like they are taking these, they perform these sacrifices. So it's a little bit, it's different than Ready or Not, where this was part of where it's part of a deal. I guess this is part of a deal as well, but the idea behind
it's definitely a part of a deal. I mean, you have to accept, you have to make a promise, and
it is. I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying that I guess, but it's a different sort of deal, where that it's not like to ensure. It's not necessarily to ensure power, but I think it's the same sort of metaphor that they're going for. That
would you have a problem turning down that deal? Like I remember, I see these movies, and like one of my favorite underrated movies because it's very small. It's basically just a Richard Matheson Twilight Zone episode, but it commits to it and it works. Is The Box?
Okay.
And it's like a guy shows up at your door and he's got a button in a box, and he's like, if you push this button, you'll get $1 million or whatever. But someone in the world that you don't know will die. And people struggle with it. Or they push the button and then they're surprised. And I'm like, I would just tell them to fuck off. Like, I'm not doing that. That's why I'm poor. But
there is a parody of that, which cracks me up, where it's someone, they're playing the dramatic music, the guy has the box, and he goes, if you press the button in this box, you will receive $1 million. Before he finishes the end of the sentence, the guy presses the button.
Oh, I've seen that.
Like, He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I didn't tell you the consequences.
And the guy's like, no, I didn't finish. He goes, no, $1 million, please. And he presses it again. And he's like, what are you doing? And then he keeps pressing it. And he's like, you're killing all these people. It's very funny.
Well, we learned that lesson from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon when the kid who becomes the wizard gets thirsty, and he says, "I'm going to get water," and he like touches his staff, and water comes out of the ground, and then their little floating guide guy goes, "You can't do that because when you take water for yourself, you're taking it from somewhere else. Some farmer's crop just didn't get watered." And I was like, see, this is important stuff we're learning from Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Everybody says it's Satan, but if it's Satan with good lessons.
Yeah, it's like data centers.
Yeah,
it's like you got to have that picture of Batman fighting Spider-Man, but
that's right.
but you've just ruined a pond.
We'll talk about AI in our next episode.
Sure.
Fuck.
And then but here's the interesting part that I thought about this is that the irony is that these people that the upper class society that they deem as sacrificable these are the people that can that have the ability to basically tear that all apart. It reminds me very much of the cartoon. I'm sure you've probably seen it before, of the guy on the plank that's over the cliff. And he's like speaking to all the people, but all the people were on the other side of the plank. Yeah. And it's just like, well, if everybody just walked off, the guy would just fall down.
Yep.
And
we wouldn't have to hear about arches and and jets that don't have missile defense or air refueling. But it's okay because they're full of gold.
Somebody said, this is the idea that survival is really almost in a system like that. Survival is almost in itself is sort of like this act of rebellion, and just refusing to just like lay down and die because it can get very comfortable. Sort of like saying like these deals that these people are presented with. They're like, oh, it's more comfortable, even if there is a negative consequence, as long as it doesn't affect you directly. We see that a lot today.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh, well, it doesn't affect me directly, so I'm okay with.
That's the only way.
It's okay. There's a little bit of pain. It's like, right. Well, yeah, if it doesn't affect you,
well, that's the only way that certain. Let's just say one side of the political spectrum, anything progressive can ever happen because they're like, oh, I don't care about this. Oh, your son is this. Oh, now I care about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there is a psychological experiment that was done with it was where the college professor, and you hear these stories and you're like, I don't know if this is true, but the idea is still, I think, valid, where that, because I know a lot of people would be this way, that where they say you can everybody can come in and take this exam at the end. There'll be like one test. Mm-hmm. You come in and everybody takes the exam, or you can come in, everybody gets a 90 on the exam, so you'll get a 90 for the test, but everybody else will get one too. But the only caveat was that it had to be a unanimous vote from the class to say, okay, everyone had to say, yes, we all agree, we'll all get a 90, and that's fine. And supposedly, they never had a situation where they could get everyone to agree because there were so many people that were like, oh, they were afraid that someone else might get a 90 that didn't deserve it. Even though it didn't affect them, they were going to get a 90 regardless.
That's that same pull the ladder up shit that makes people go, well, I had to pay college loans. Yeah. I had to buy my own house. Yeah, but your college loans were 4 figures. Your house was $30,000. It's not that world anymore. Why do you hate the idea that people who are in a different world that have to struggle more financially, they shouldn't get some kind of assistance when they're like you and they want a better life and they want to do the work and they want to do all those things.
Even someone like me who ended up going back to school later in life. Mm-hmm. So my student loan situation, while not exactly the same, is a little bit closer to what some of the people are going through now. So I can relate to that. Even if I still had to pay but going forward, people didn't have to. Even after my son's in school now, even let's say it was something that was, let's say we're going to do it the next. My son's going to graduate in the next 2. Knock on wood, right? He's going to graduate in the next 2 years. So let's say even if it was something where it was like, you know what, it's going to happen in 2 years. My son's student loans wouldn't qualify. Even if it was a situation like that, if they were like in 2 years, we can make it so that higher education is free, or we can make there could be some kind of like financial relief. I'd be fine with that, even though I'm not going to benefit from it at all. This whole idea of people not being able to benefit, like, so it's not valid or not worthy. It's like that's how we function as a society. I mean, it's like, so what? You don't want to pay, like, if you pay taxes, like, should that only go for road work on the roads that you travel on?
Right.
That's silly. It's
ridiculous. We just got our property tax bill up here in Harford County, and on the back of it shows you where all of your money goes and percentage wise. And the biggest percentage, 48% of our tax money in Harford County goes to public education. So I looked at it and I said to my wife, we don't have kids. Why the fuck do we have to pay that? Of course we pay that. That's part of our society.
Yeah, having an educated...
That also gives me a right to say I do or don't think they're doing a good job, because it directly affects me. And by doing a good job, I don't mean like you should ban Huckleberry Finn or a book that has like a mention of a breast in it or something.
I mean, there's a gay person. Oh my God, there's a gay person.
Oh, not a gay. Oh my God.
Like, yeah, I know, because that's like
everybody
having a gay person in a book is like pornographic.
Yeah, make them all read Giovanni's Room and Magic Mountain and learn that people are people and literature is literature and fucking shut up and calm.
Well, I mean, I just think
it's so dumb that people get so worked up about that sort of thing, and it's like, but we are all in it together, one way or the other. Even if you give your life over to a pig head, you're not immortal.
So here's what's interesting though about this idea though, is that even though you watch a movie like this, and it seems very clear that there's allegories, metaphors being made, connections to real life being made, which, I mean, most movies do. I mean, I guess you do have, I feel like the movies that are just pure fun that don't mean anything the percentage are very small. The director apparently in when he's interviewed, he's saying, "Oh no, this movie's just for fun." I don't know if that's just a thing. Like, some people are like, "Well, maybe that's a cop out." I don't think it's necessarily a cop out. Maybe he just wants you to draw your own conclusions, and he doesn't want to put anything behind it. Because I do know, I kind of hate when when some of these directors go out, and especially nowadays, there's so many media outlets, so many interviews that I guess sometimes they just want to say something different, and so and when a director or even a writer of a novel, when you have an author talk about like some of their intentions, sometimes I don't want to hear what their intentions were.
Yeah.
Because then it ruins the experience for me, because I feel like it's an idea that you've put this out into the story, out into the world. Let me consume it and engage in it the way that I want to. And
that's why David Lynch could never be bothered to tell you what his movies were about. And I'm good. I don't want to know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, say what you want about Quentin Tarantino. Thank God he's never told us what was in the briefcase. I don't want to know. I don't want to. I have ideas, and I don't want to. I mean, some of the ideas out there are preposterous, but they make me laugh,
right?
And
also some of the ideas, like, it may very well supposed to be Marcellus Wallace's soul. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I literally don't care.
It's like, do you?
It doesn't make it better or worse. It makes it nothing different. So
do you not understand the concept of what a MacGuffin is? I mean, I don't think it's like that's the whole point, is that it doesn't matter. But
I mean, I like them when people are like, "Oh, it's from the inside of the Lost Ark, from Raiders of the Lost Ark." Fine, I don't care.
It's the Oscar he didn't win.
Yeah, right.
People are like, shut up. But I mean, yeah. So
what's funny is that that the briefcase drives the plot, but once you get to know who Marcellus Wallace is, and I guess Bruce Willis runs into him when Marcellus Wallace is crossing the street.
Yeah.
Like holding coffee, and they look at each other. Yeah. So I'd forgotten about the briefcase. I don't care about the briefcase at that point. So it gets everything moving, but I don't need to chase it. But people are silly.
They are. And
this movie is as gory as it is, and genuinely creative with some of that as well. It is very silly.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a little darker, because the very first scene, the very first scene that reveals what the movie really is like a young woman being peeped on and people sneaking into her room and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh no, I have a sword. I'll cut your head off." And you're like, "Oh, okay, she is ready."
This is like, it's definitely like a.
And Zazie Beetz sells it. She's fun.
Yeah, it definitely has like a and I think this is intentional. It's almost got like a Jackie Chan vibe to it.
It's that kind of action movie. It's very physical. I couldn't tell you, who did what stunts or whatever, but I found it largely convincing. And well, see, here's what happened. I'm not going to be Harry Knowles and tell you I saw a movie and here's what I did the 2 days before, and also I touched some girl in my wheelchair or whatever. But I went to watch this movie because my friend came over Friday night of the 4th of July weekend, and we said, let's watch a movie. So we watched Lee Cronin's The Mummy for almost 30 minutes. And then we looked at each other and we said, no, we're not doing that. And it was really, really boring. And then we started this movie and I was like, it's not bad. I mean, it's holding my attention. But when it suddenly basically popped off, I was like, oh, this is much more exciting.
Yeah,
I'm much more in the mood for this. So this movie is... It took me 8 days to finish watching The Mummy because I was just curious how long it would take me. I finished it this morning, actually.
Would you watch it like 5?
First I was like, I'm gonna start watching it again. I watched 5 minutes and I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And it's got people in it I like Jack Raynor and the director Lee Cronin. As you may know, his name is on the movie, so you'll never forget it. He did Evil Dead Rise, which I really liked. But then I watched it for 5 minutes. Then I literally had to turn it off. And then I watched it for 7 minutes. And then I figured the real trick to do it is to watch it and just commit to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then that could leak into 12 minutes. It was very exciting. I was very proud of myself. So I finished watching it. But this movie is very dynamic. It definitely moves. I will say, I'm not going to pretend that the story is like some incredibly satisfying thing or whatever, but I spent a fair amount of the movie not knowing quite where we were going to go, mostly because the tone was like, oh my God, really anything could happen.
Yeah. I mean,
Heather Graham gets her head blown off and then she walks around with her vocal cord sticking out for 20 minutes. Like it's creepy and weird and funny as shit. But
I mean, I feel like I definitely will say, so this is sort of my take on this movie as a whole. It's definitely style over substance, but the style is really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Also, Ready or Not and They Will Kill You and Lee Cronin's The Mummy, a lot of people running around inside the walls.
Oh, really?
So that was a thematic connection. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I was like, oh, that's one thing right now, as I'm thinking about Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I remember that. And I was like, I remembered something from that movie. That's pretty cool.
One of the things that I thought that I didn't anticipate, because, when you watch this, you see when you see the trailers and everything like that, one of the things they kind of don't really let on about is the fact that it does really lean hard into the supernatural aspect, which they really didn't do. I mean, obviously you have people exploding in Ready or Not, but really outside of that, that's really I feel. And then you have Mr. LaBelle at the end of the first.
Right. Well, that's the whole mystery of the first one. Is is it real? And even the people who made the deal, when the sun comes up and they're all like, oh, I knew it was bullshit. And then they blow up. Like, that's really incredibly satisfying. You're not going to be able to match that. It's the same thing I think I said in that episode about how Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, supernatural stuff is shocking. Then you get to the second movie and everybody's like, oh, yeah, no, of course it's all real.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it was kind of more interesting when somebody saw a guy turn into a skeleton in Moonlight and went, oh my God, I don't believe what I'm seeing. It's terrifying.
But I did like how they really lean into it.
Yeah, you can't really, pull that back. And They Will Kill You is very early on, very clear. People get cut into pieces and then they stand up.
Yeah.
And not in like a creepy zombie way. They're just like, hey, I'm back. So don't do that. That hurt. Ow. Yeah. I'm going to grow back that arm. I'm going to grow back that head.
I almost got like a Dusk Till Dawn vibe to it a little bit.
Yeah. It was silly.
Yeah. Just where it's just like, it's horror, but it's like,
but less foot stuff.
When we say, there is some foot stuff though.
No, there is some foot. That's true. There is some foot stuff.
But it's sort of like how we were saying, Ready or Not felt like, there's a difference between comedy horror and horror comedy, and Ready or Not's horror comedy, and this is definitely comedy horror and action, all rolled into one. I mean, it could be a more. It's funny to think of it like this because some of his movies are, but it's like a more flip Takashi Miike movie because it's very, very gory, but it's also very, very silly.
And so, without being Three Stooges, I guess it's more Looney Tunes or something. But it's I don't know. It's one of those, like, it's a good time. It is so gory, but stylized Kill Bill spraying blood gory. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's not like Lee Cronin's The Mummy is gory.
Yeah.
Like really, like ripping off strips of skin, and I mean it's Evil Dead. It's basically an Evil Dead movie in some ways, but boring. And that's disappointing. I'm going to see the new Evil Dead next week. I'm very curious to see that one, but in which he is not involved. And that's that one, and the one that's coming out in 2028 are both directed by directors whose names we're going to struggle with. So we'll have to work on that.
Awesome.
But I think this movie it's a specific kind of fun. So like if you like it, you probably are really going to like it. I dug it. I had fun with it. I liked that I didn't know it was that kind of movie.
Yeah.
Even with that aggressive title, like They Will Kill You is pretty forward. It's not like, oh, it's The Remains of the Day 2 or something. But it was silly fun. My friend and I had a good time with it.
Oh yeah, when they do that, the scene with the where I love when they go like balls to the wall with the whole like when she's in that dining hall fighting like all of the the whatever acolytes, whatever you want to call them, and she's just like kicking their ass and like to like
another ballroom fight.
Yes, and she is. I mean that scene is just. But here's what I will say about this though. So like if I was gonna zero in on the one part of the weakness. So we sort of have this idea of. What we've been talking over, like basically the last, this is the third movie now in a row that we've talked about the whole idea of the eat the rich kind of thematic.
Well, they could be. I mean, they could be quite marbly. I could see that being appealing, but I don't know.
But they have, but in this case, where I felt like in the first Ready or Not, out of the three movies, the first Ready or Not definitely had the best, the wealthy, quote unquote. They were the most fleshed out, and then these two of the three, I feel like the least fleshed out was probably this movie. I felt like they were just kind of there. You know what I mean? Like I know a little bit about Heather Graham, a tiny bit about Heather Graham, and I know a little bit about Patricia Arquette's character. That's the one where you find out the most information about. But I feel like I know, like everybody else is. There's like that one old guy whose wife is an author. And that's again, like I don't really know. Feel like I have no idea. Like I have no idea. Like Tom Felton, and I don't like. I miss that stuff.
We know his dad is like a senior Death Eater, but other than that, we don't really know.
Yeah,
that's a Harry Potter joke. But I feel like
it took me a second because I was sitting there. I'm thinking of the context of this movie. I'm like, okay.
Well, what's funny is like, but it doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter. Like they're bad.
Yeah.
And Zazie Beetz isn't necessarily all good. She has an exceptionally violent solution to her problem, but just like Ready or Not 2, it's an estranged sister. I left her. I'm trying to save her. I was like, is this the same movie? I don't understand. It's very weird.
Well, I mean, I feel like the specific goal in this movie was to save the sister, where that wasn't necessarily what the goal was in.
Well, there was
a side part,
right?
To
well, there was no goal in the movie in the second one when it started. It was just like, oh, I made it.
Yeah,
and then it became
not
clear,
so fast.
right? Well, then it became clear like there's a whole other bunch of stuff that you're going to have to deal with. But I think they realistically embraced the sisters reconciling in a more emotional detail in Ready or Not 2 than in this one. But they both have what I would say is a happy ending.
Yeah,
which there was a good chance there would be one sacrifices, one sister sacrifices for the other's life or whatever. But I guess we find out that Zazie Beetz' sister has already made some choices that Zazie would not support, and she manages to survive those too. It all has to do with writing your name on pigskin or whatever.
I guess so. But
and then not writing your name, and then unwriting your name.
I know, like changing your name. Like, I guess you can write over it.
Yeah,
it's a little
right. That's right. Yeah, you can write.
Over it. It's not like So I kind of feel like, does that cover both? If you alter the first name and it's the same last name. Does that anyway?
Kinda.
No, that's not what happened in the movie, but I would think, who knows? Anyway, so the idea for this story apparently came You know what? Before I say the maid who gets killed twice, she gets stabbed in the hallway, and also she gets crushed. I think she gets crushed in the elevator shaft.
Yes.
See, that's the director's wife.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, which I think is funny.
It is. It is interesting.
Yes. But anyway, that's. I mean, hopefully that's a playful thing and not like some weird thing.
I don't know. Movies get intense.
But they. But anyway, they apparently rented an apartment in this like 16, 17 floor building, and they realized that they were
what are you talking about?
This is the director and his wife. I'm sorry.
Like where they stayed for the movie production, you mean? Or to shoot it?
No. This was just there's when I read this story, there was no context given to when this happened. It was just sometime before. This is how he was inspired.
It's just in his life. Okay,
this
gotcha.
is inspiration.
I thought you were saying they rented a place to live during production, and I was like, why didn't they just live in the Virgil?
No, and they were joking that they were getting like these. Rosemary's Babies vibe, and that they're like, what if they were joking like, what if this was a owned by a cult, because it was all old people. They were like everybody was like 65 or older, and
like the Merton Flemmer building,
and that then they were doing a kitchen renovation, and when they pulled one of the cabinets, there was apparently a hole in the wall, and that was also what they wrote into the movie. There was a hole in the wall that went right through to the next neighbor, which is scary in the sense when you think about when you live, if you've ever lived in an apartment, that there is, you sort of have your walls, and that's like to think that it's kind of like almost like a violation to know that
almost
an open portal, for lack of a better term, right into the next person's house and their living space is strange. And so I could see where that would be something that they would want to incorporate into a horror movie. And also the idea when they were, I guess, sort of crafting the story was when they did have like sort of the Rosemary's Baby inspiration. The sort of the twist to it was that instead of the main character being like the victim, like in Rosemary's Baby, what if the main character was one of the most dangerous people in
the
there?
movie, yeah.
And that's sort of how you get the setup for this horror action framework. And I don't know, like, what did you think about the? I mean, I didn't mind this, but I didn't know how did you feel about with them going back and when they would talk about something and they were like, oh, this is the deal. This is how Asia. This is how she ended up getting this is how she ended up being able to get that job. Like when they kind of go back. They also don't explain if she escaped from prison, because that's what I kept thinking. I kept thinking we were going to see some kind of prison escape scene.
It seems clear she busted out of something.
It would seem to me.
I felt like I didn't care about any of that. Yeah. Not that it was intrusive in the movie or it dragged or anything. Yeah. I just didn't. I was like, just get back to some more stabby, because the movie was good at that, and they gave us more story at the end with like a big boss villain and fight and stuff, except that it was a disembodied talking pig's head. Yeah. So that's definitely holds your attention more than if it's, like some specter or something. Yeah. But I don't know, like this wasn't a movie that it has a story. I didn't really care about the mechanics of the backstory. Like, this woman is here, she wants to save her sister, go. Like that was enough for me, especially because you don't realize that for the first few minutes of the movie, and when they reveal it, it's fun, and it becomes very clear. Like this movie is fun. Yeah, Heather Graham, 20 minutes later, is running around without a head, and it being pretty effective at it.
There's an eyeball,
right? The eyeball that follows through the building, and I mean, the movie is fair warning. It is genuinely gory. It is stylized and goofy in some ways, but it's very, very gory. Yeah, it's more Evil Dead 2 gory than Evil Dead remake gory. Yeah, but it's still pretty gory.
If you ever watched the movie Dusk Till Dawn, you're like, I'm okay with this level of goofiness, then you'll be fine with this. And I think that the action in this movie, in a lot of ways, is more engaging than Dusk Till Dawn.
I agree. There's another movie that doesn't have the same level of action, but it is I don't really have guilty anything about movies, but it is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Like what you like.
John Carpenter's Vampires.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is such fun trash because it just commits to it. So, like, vampires attack a whole team of vampire hunters, that work for the Vatican and kill all of them and the hookers that they're celebrating with. And, like, it doesn't hide any of that. It doesn't show you every single one of those people getting torn into chunks, but that's there. And then they're there. But it's more like we want to show you the extremity of the violence of the villains, but also it's so over the top, like RoboCop over the top, that it's supposed to be funny. And this movie is definitely closer to violence of RoboCop than I don't know, Full Metal Jacket or something.
But I mean, RoboCop's obviously a lot more. I mean, while it's goofy, some of the violence is very like especially in the opening part where McMurphy is killed. That's intense. That's almost a little too serious.
That's ironically with much less overt storytelling about this. RoboCop's a much more religious movie. I mean, it's just a Jesus story.
Yeah,
and this just uses Satan as an excuse to be a villain and regenerate people. They could have made it like everybody's in a space station in Jason X or something, and you can't kill them. Like, it didn't really matter that they were evil. It mattered more that being the reason that they were the villains mattered more to the story in the Ready or Not movies.
Yeah,
which made it more explicitly relevant to our life and times.
They are. I mean, the movie is definitely. There's no doubt about that. This movie wants you to realize it's a movie. They're not trying to. To immerse you in the sort of the ideas, engage you that way. They're engaging you by the stylized nature. Some of the things, like they do a lot of the in the fight scenes, and this was intentional, obviously, they shot the fight scenes wide.
Which was fun.
They didn't do
that was fun.
The cuts, like quick cuts, which I hate. I think I feel like a lot of
we noticed that when we were watching it.
Yeah, a lot of directors are kind of getting away from that. I feel like it's sort of with like some of the Bourne movies and things like that. I know some of these Liam Neeson movies, they did a lot of quick cuts, especially Liam Neeson's getting a little older.
Well, what's that? He climbs a fence in 14 cuts or something. Like, it's just sort of silly, but I don't fault him.
Yeah.
He saved a lot of Jews. So.
There you go. And they, so the wide scene,
no, the action is, you're like, I'm actually watching combat between stunt people, and
that's what they bring up. So apparently in test screenings,
which makes it more Jackie Chan as well. So
and apparently in test screenings, one of the feedback that they got, and they actually had to dial it back a little bit, when the people were complaining, they were saying that that Zazie Beetz was getting beat up too much. well, and I understand where they were going with that. What they're saying is that in the sense that. Because apparently it was even more so than what we saw. They actually cut some of it out.
Wow.
And that they were saying that it was it just shows you the connection to the main character, and that they didn't want her to get beat up quite as much. And so they actually did apparently dial it back a little bit.
I mean, I think she's good, and I like her as an actress in general, but she beat me up when I had to sit through that entire movie, Joker. So I guess, everything is.
But that's really, what, though? That's not. She's such a small part of that movie. It's not really her fault. So.
Well, that's true. She doesn't even know she's in most of the movie because she's just in, Joaquin's head or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, see, that movie has one scene in it that I really like. Yeah. That tonally is not that different from what works about this movie. And that's the scene when Glenn Fleshler and the dwarf guy that they work with comes to Joaquin Phoenix's apartment, and Joaquin Phoenix kills him. He kills Glenn Fleshler, who's a dick but doesn't deserve to die. And then his dwarf colleague is very scared, and that guy's the only one who was ever nice to him, so he lets him out. But it's funny watching this little person be terrified and reach for a doorknob, and he's not in any danger because he's the only person who's been nice to him. But the violence that just preceded it is very disturbing. That violence is much more disturbing. Like in this movie, it becomes very clear. If you watch Zazie Beetz cut somebody's throat, it'll be back in a minute. Anyway, like it's still gory and everything, but there's not much at stake for the villains until suddenly at the end there is. It's also not really clear. She plays it as kind of, this isn't a performance thing. This is the way it's written. I'm not sure how much she really knows about what's going on. Mm-hmm. Like she's ready for what happens for them to come out of the walls, and she doesn't seem surprised that they come back, or does she? I'm not really sure, but she knows it's a cult and she knows it's dangerous. And I'm not really sure. Like at the end, like did she know it was a pig's head? I don't know, but she knew there was something behind all of it. And I found myself wondering, like, how much did she know, and how much are you revealing to the audience over the course of the movie? But I also didn't care about that either. Yeah. And that's not even a criticism of the movie. I just didn't care because I was like, swing sword, spray blood, have fun.
I mean, it's like it's one of those things you think about later on. Like, you know, one of the things that you think about is, was she? So you see everything that she, you know, once you actually see her full arsenal that she brings, it does make you wonder: was she overly prepared, or did she know what she was actually getting into?
That's
so
true.
Like, to your point, you're like, I don't know, because like, was she just like, you know, she didn't know what she was going to get into, so she was just going to cover all her bases, or was she like, this is going to be really dangerous? I am going to need, you know, I'm going to need a machete, and I'm going to need
and I can only die once.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. To me, this movie,
I don't think, well, she obviously did not know that they could regenerate, because she was genuinely seemed like she was surprised.
I guess. See, here's the thing. The movie just kind of went right through me. And that's, again, not a bad thing. It's just like, I didn't think about it, good or bad, a lot after I saw it. I was like, oh, that was a fun ride, which normally that kind of movie it's very disposable and not that interesting. But, you know, this knew exactly what kind of ride it was, and it had a good time.
I like the, so
I'm
like,
glad it wasn't in 3D or anything.
Yeah. Oh God, no. The cinematographer, Isaac Bauman, who actually worked on the Loki series. He did some other stuff, but like that's probably one of his most famous, most popular thing that he worked on was the Loki TV series.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Nice. I like the Owen Wilson impression.
Oh, wow.
I like a lot of the you know, they do like those like Dutch angles, the dolly zoom ins, the like all those. That's very
that's the whole thing I was talking about, how it's very directed.
Like yeah, but it feels very campy. It almost feels like
it insists upon itself.
I hate that. Anyway, but that is very yeah. I mean, it really kind of lends itself to that like goofy, like campy, grindhousey, like the where she, you know, lights the axe on fire. Apparently,
that's fun.
When they lit that axe on fire, like they really did that. Like that wasn't a post production thing, and like the production team was like the director was like, yes, and like but like the whole like, and I guess Zazie Beetz must have been up for it, but like the production team was like, hope nobody gets hurt. This.
Well, it's like in Game of Thrones, in a couple of scenes in the later seasons, they were like, you know, no one has ever set this many stuntmen on fire at the same time, and I'm like, wow,
yeah,
okay.
I think also the way that they do the way that they do the editing. So the guy who edited it, his name's Luke Doolin, who actually, there's nothing that really jumped. When I was looking at his filmography, there's not anything that really jumps out except for one movie that I saw many years ago that I really enjoyed called The Square. It's an Australian movie.
Is that
is
that about fighting or something?
Nope. The Square is actually about, it's a very noirish movie. It's basically about a guy who
sounds familiar.
I don't know, this guy's having an affair, and then they do this thing where she convinces him to.
I like how you lowered your voice like you were talking about Wonder Boys.
I know, yeah. So what they were doing is they were trying to. This guy is like this regular guy is having an affair with the mistress of like some like drug dealer guy, and she convinces him to. She convinces her the guy she's having an affair with she's like, oh, I know there's all this money in this guy's house. It's going to be there at a certain time. Just go in there and just light the house on fire. We'll take the money and then we'll run away. He does that, not realizing the drug dealer's mother is in the house, burns the house down and kills the mother.
Oops. That's the Joel Edgerton movie.
Yes,
he wrote and his brother directed.
He's actually he's got a small role in it too, and it's a very good. It's one of those movies that's written very tightly, and the editing probably plays a big part in that. It's very. I mean, it's something worth seeing. It's called The Square. Joel Edgerton's in it. I think his brother directed it. I think. But anyway, The Square. It's a good movie. This guy, same editor, but it's funny. Very different vibe. The energy level is a lot different. I also liked when it came to. I was a big fan of the score and the needle drops, but I also did like the score. I went back and listened to some of that.
That's fun.
And it was fun. Well, here's interesting. The guy Carlos Rafael Rivera also did he was also the composer of the Queen's Gambit score. And from what I understand, like he went right from one to the other. Like,
oh,
he
wow.
did Queen's Gambit music and then went right into scoring this movie. So that was, I'm sure that was probably pretty interesting. But it was definitely, I was digging the music. I feel like definitely the needle drops in there were definitely helping with the vibe of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have everything from like this sort of like this, you had the rap music, but then you also had like some of like this like I guess like dirty indie kind of music, you know what I mean? Like I was really digging that. So
now let me ask you a question, because
Yes.
one of the feelings I kind of got from this movie,
Yes.
and I actually talked about this with my friend that I watched it with, Tim, a little bit. Does this feel, and this is not a criticism, it's more of a style, does this feel like a 90s action movie in some ways? Because it's very, like, I remember in the 90s, remember the word that all these movies were trying to be. Some of them succeeded and it was cool, like a Tarantino movie, and many didn't. They all had to be edgy.
Uh-huh.
And this movie is edgy in that way. Like, it's not apologizing for it's like kind of goofy how edgy it is, but it's not only commenting on itself or something like that. It's just kind of like, we're just going to go for it. And it's not really about much more than that. And that's fine. Like, it could have come out in 1997. It could have come out this year. There's kind of a timeless action movie-ness to it. Like, we were talking about Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Bruce Willis and stuff before we got started. And this could have been a Bruce Willis movie. Mm-hmm. This could have been a Stallone movie, 30, 40 years ago.
You know what I was thinking about the Patricia Arquette, like in her, when she was, during that 90s era. I could even see her being in something like this.
Or Heather Graham.
Roller
Girl fucks up a cult.
Yeah, really. That would be fun. She did all in roller skates.
Yeah. She fucked up that one guy in the limousine, so she can do it.
Yeah, that's true. She gave him a good couple kicks to the face with the...
Well, he shouldn't have recognized her from high school and been rude about it.
Yeah, it was very rude. But yeah, it's I see what you're saying about that. I think that it's I definitely think that it definitely took elements from that, so I can see why you would feel that way, because sort of like what I was saying about like Dusk Till Dawn, I do feel a little bit of that when I watch this movie,
or John Carpenter's Vampires,
or
Desperado,
where it's like the over the top. I mean, like
this could have been a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah,
this could have been half of a Grindhouse sequel or something.
Yep. It definitely had Grindhouse. That was part of the thing. So I found like specifically the my notes about when I was talking about like the real stunts, the fire stunts that they did. Like, they were actually literally, he wanted the director insisted on, he wanted to actually light people on fire, putting them out after each take. Like, he wanted to go for it. That was his thing.
Russian filmmaking is intense.
And they said that oh my goodness, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is it
Dorothy Ann Gould?
No, Mahala.
The sister.
This young sister.
I'm not sure how to pronounce her name,
but
yes. She's good.
She said the producers were shitting and sweating over the safety, and the director was shouting with joy when they nailed it. So,
I mean, that to me, like, there was a lot of stuff in the news in the past couple of years about safety on films after the Alec Baldwin cinematographer. I apologize. I can't remember her name, after she was killed on the set and stuff. And that stuff is very serious. I always still think of what Steven Soderbergh said when he saw Fury Road. Like, it blew him away, and he couldn't stop watching it over and over. And he said, I don't understand how hundreds of people aren't dead. And, this movie, they definitely did stuff that they could have done CGI, and it looks like they did it on set, and you're telling me the extent to which they did it on set and stuff. But they have to be careful. I mean, we were talking about Evil Dead. Bruce Campbell makes a lot of movies and a lot of action movies and a lot of gunfights and stuff like that. And he came out after the Rust, incident, and he's like, I don't do that. Yeah. Like, I'll just do CGI bullet flashes before I kill somebody on set. Well, I'm not playing those games with people's lives. A lot
of productions are like, I know they were like specifically. I saw a thing that showed The Rookie with
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion, like they said that they're no longer using blanks on the, and you know, it's like, is it really worth it to have someone show like convincing like kickback? Is it like, is that, can't you teach that? Like,
it can be done safely, and often is.
Yeah.
I mean, with that movie Civil War, they used full loads on the blanks instead of half loads, so that when the gun went off over Kirsten Dunst's head, when she's a reporter caught in a shootout, like her flinching is more real than that. Like that's pretty method, but still not real bullets or anything. But you know what I mean? Like you could also, if you told me Kirsten Dunst could act that, I would believe you. So that's a choice. But there's no way Alex Garland did that on a movie without the top of the line safest armorers. Because here's the other thing, like Civil War is a $50 million movie. I don't know how much this was. Nobody is going to let Alex Garland make a $50 million movie without insurance.
Yeah.
And that insurance isn't going to show up if you don't know what you're doing. Like Warner Brothers was worried about Fury Road going way over budget. They weren't worried about anybody dying, as far as I can tell. And so on some level, they trusted this director and the team that he assembled and the producers put together to do it, and they pulled it off. Like that thing about this movie, it is exactly what it wants to be.
Yeah,
and I have a lot of respect for that.
So like, and I'll tell you, like even back, like when it comes to like safety with guns, I'll tell two brief, quick stories about two different movies and the way that they handle the guns. Probably one of the most famous ones from the 90s was on the set of The Crow, that the people not realizing, which I think is just like, I feel like they should do like a gun safety thing at the beginning. People not realizing that pointing a gun that has a blank in it, there's still something that comes out of the gun. You know what I mean? That's packed, and that's what apparently now that's
why you have to treat a gun like it's loaded, even on a movie set.
And that's I mean, like I understand, and if you're going to do something where the scene calls for it to be pointed directly at someone, you have to do it a different way. So this is what they did in the movie Desperado, which is a movie made for a very low budget. I think they made it for like $7 million, which is looks fantastic when you
that's one tank of gas these days.
Yeah, really. There's a scene, because I remember watching back in the days when we had audio commentary, which seems to be less and less of those now. But all the ones that are out there seem to be like old ones. But anyway, Robert Rodriguez said that there's a scene where Antonio Banderas is coming up the steps with Selma Hayek, and he shoots a guy who falls down the steps, and he slides down the steps. And as he's sliding down the steps, Antonio Banderas shoots him, and you see the flash and the gun and everything like that. How they handled that on a low budget movie is that it was just flash paper. It was just like, so all there was the muzzle flash. There wasn't even a blank. It was just a flash, and then they put everything else in post. Yeah. So you can do it. It can be done safely.
And it takes skill to do it in post to make it convincing.
He shoots the guy. I mean, the guy is like, he's probably like 12 inches away from the guy when he shoots the gun as the guy's falling down the steps. That's that could be dangerous. You can do it.
Well, also keep in mind, we could shoot a scene right now where you draw a gun and you point it at my face, and in the frame that the audience sees, your gun is pointed at my face, and how we shoot it, it's nowhere near my face.
I could be off to the side.
You can play games with that. That's not sophisticated filmmaking.
Even this little,
it does what it needs to do.
This little short that I remember I did, that I shot, that where I was in a tight space, because I was one of my few times where I was acting, because I'm not a good actor, but where I was supposed to be looking at someone, but because of the tight space, I couldn't exactly look directly at them. So we just moved the camera a little bit, and I was actually looking over their shoulder. But from the way it looked like I was looking directly at them, talking at them, but I just couldn't move. And so we set it up, and so you're right, it can be done. It's not. And that was like for no money.
Well, you have to know how to do it, and you have to care to do it right. If your dad's in armor and you got a job and you shoot real bullets in between setups, then you deserve to get in trouble. But nobody deserves to die because you're a fool.
Yeah. And it's just like I saw some clips of what was going on right before it happened, and I think Alec Baldwin was just, and then this is no excuse for him too. Like they wanted, apparently it looked like they wanted to cut, and he wanted to let's keep going, and he was just like shooting the things, and he got I mean,
it's a terrible accident.
That's the impression I got from the very brief video that I saw. That, just to be clear, I could be totally wrong about that's what happened, but it looked that way to me. But I could be wrong. So
look, it also is the kind of thing that, like, if these 4 things hadn't happened in a row, it would have never happened.
Sure,
and those 4 things wouldn't have happened if people were more responsible. And that's why there are things like criminal charges for the people that got charged, and that's why I personally don't think Alec Baldwin should be in jail for it or anything like that.
No, I mean, I definitely think it was a. I understand why he was charged, but I don't know if he needs to had jail time. But I mean, there was definitely some things that were not done the proper way.
And Zazie Beetz has come a long way since Geostorm. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I first saw her in Atlanta, the show. Atlanta,
yeah, she's amazing in it.
I wasn't in Georgia.
I love that show.
No, it was good. She's always great.
Yeah, Paperboy.
What'd you say?
Paperboy.
And so overall, I mean, for me personally, this movie, I would say that it's definitely style over substance, but I didn't kind of like it, but the style was good enough to keep me engaged, and I never had a problem with the fact that it was like that it was the story was a little basic, a little light. It was everything else that was around it. They dressed it up enough where I was fine with it.
It was fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit there and go like, this was a great movie. It should be on the top 10.
Yeah.
It's not going to be on the top 10
Look,
list.
I love Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx, even though there are mountains in the background.
I
saw it at a screening.
They released that in the theaters here in the United States, like after it had been...
that was the first big Jackie Chan is going to make it to American audiences movie. And it's so much fun. And it's the gangs are like warriors kind of bizarro silliness.
Wasn't there a scene where, didn't they put somebody through a wood chipper and then put him in a trash bag, and he had to carry the trash bag back in his front?
I don't remember if it's that
something
one.
like that.
It could be. I don't know if it's that one.
Anyway, but that is a.
I mean, it's funny you say that because it wouldn't have shocked me if there was a blooper reel at the end during the credits that showed people surviving these stunts.
Yeah,
because there was stuff like I didn't know about the eagerness to burn people, burn stunt people and stuff. But I mean, it was clearly like there's a lot of CGI going on here. There's a lot of digital enhancement, but this is really people swinging real swords, or looking props that look like real swords in a real space next to other actors and stuntmen, and this is real physical movement and all that kind of stuff. And Jackie Chan's famous for all those movies that have the reel at the end showing all of his injuries and stuff.
Oh my God!
Like Rumble in the Bronx, he broke his foot, so they made he put his cast on his foot, and then they made a cover that looks like his other sneaker over it, so he could keep running around. And he kept running around Jackie Chan the shit out of everything. So it was that kind of, again, like a 90s vibe kind of action movie.
Definitely, I definitely feel like I wouldn't disagree to say that it definitely borrowed from those 90s action movies for sure.
I found it more dynamic than Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
So I've heard. Anyway. So, I think I didn't have anything else to say about the movie. This is actually, we went longer than I thought we would on this one. Did you have anything else to add? You're good?
No, I do enjoy a title that's very aggressive.
No, yeah,
it will kill you. Get out. I like that stuff.
So, well then I guess that's a wrap on They Will Kill You. I said that right. Yeah, They Will Kill You. Wow, I don't know why I thought I said it wrong. That's a wrap on They Will Kill You. We'll be back next week for a French movie, Vincent Must Die. And in the meantime, you can follow us on your favorite podcast platform or directly at storypunk.com. You can put www in if you would like. And also, we are on Instagram at storypunkpod, or you can check our Facebook page for updates. And also, you can see our goofy, well, at least mine can be goofy. Maybe Drew's can be sometimes goofy, but they're on Letterboxd. I think I put one up for Vincent Must Die, and Drew,
I haven't yet.
I am. I have. I want to do one for They Will Kill You. I don't think I did one for that one yet.
Did we watch that movie?
Yes. And then I'm Storypunk Scott on Letterboxd, and Drew is on Letterboxd as well, and he will now let us know.
Thank you for setting me up to say Solid Gould. Yes. Very dramatic.
Thank you, sir.
Very satisfying resolution of that tension.
I know.
Thank you.
I'm all about getting it done. Anyway, so then with that, I guess that's it. And remember that story matters.